Welcome to an all-new episode of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. Thanks so much for tuning in wherever you may be tuning in today. Jam-packed show as always, especially at the end of February when the playoff races are heating up. And we're also going to be joined by Weyburn Red Wings goaltender Dazza Mitchell, get his thoughts on the weekend that was and his season with the Weyburn Red Wings. But before we get into it, of course, we have to give a big thank you to all of our great sponsors here at the SJHL. Of course, our presenting sponsor is UPL for SJHL Weekly, SJHL Insider, all the SJHL shows across the board. So a big thank you to UPL and a big thank you to Bourgault, Cantera Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Chevrolet, Great Western Nutrient, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, UPL, Sask Energy, SGEU, SGI. Thanks so much for your support. Without your support, these shows are not possible. Let's bring in our co-hosts today. We're going to start with Jeromy Neugebauer. Jamie, how was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. I called the game on Sunday there, obviously.
That's right.
And yeah, spent some time with you as this is Jeremy's last show.
Sure
I
is.
wasn't sure how we were going to approach it, so I'm just going to attack it. Jeremy is taking off to British Columbia. We really appreciate you. So you and I spent some time together on Friday, had a nice time, and then, yeah, we got this show. Kind of gonna miss you, bud.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a great last show. Yeah. Now you might notice, as the desk, we're missing somebody, and that's because our good friend Rory McGouran was the victim of the Great Alberta Clipper. So he is on the video chat. There he is from his palatial estate in Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Rory, maybe give the folks at home a weather update on the Great Alberta Clipper, because you were telling us some just horrid stories this morning.
Oh, we're gusting. We're blowing out there. I think there was like a 4-foot drift in front of the garage where my car was parked in. But I will say we have been very fortunate with the weather. It's the first time I haven't been able to make it down this year based off the weather or car troubles too. The car has been fantastic this year. But I do feel terrible, Jeromy, for not being able to make it. Blame Mother Nature for the final show. I would love to be down there with you for your final one. You've been amazing at what you do for the SJHL, but unfortunately, yeah, like it's still coming down pretty heavy here, and my car is still stuck in the garage. So I'll have some shoveling to do following the show.
Well, you'll get your workout in. You know what? Mother Nature can be a pain sometimes, and it happens. But we're still going to have a great final show here. Obviously, the show's going to continue with you guys and our good friend Clark Monroe, but we'll have a great final show, the three of us together. So let's get right into it. Busy weekend. Let's take a look at the scores. Let's start with Friday. 4 games on tap. Big win for the Yorkton Terriers at home, 8-3 over Battlefords. Nipawin getting by Estevan 5-4. Melfort 7-0 over Melville. And then Kindersley with a 3-2 win over the Flin Flon Bombers. Then on Saturday, 5 games total. Melville 4-1 winners over Battlefords. Estevan 5-2 over Yorkton. Weyburn doubling up Nipawin 4-2. Same can be said. Humboldt doubled up La Ronge 6-3. And Flin Flon winners over Kindersley 4-2. And then finally, 1 game on Sunday, the Notre Dame Hounds, completing a perfect week with a 5-2 win over the Battlefords North Stars. And as always, all of our recaps and look backs this season presented by our good friends at Sask Lotteries. And it's fitting that that was the Sunday matchup because that's where we're going to start for both teams. And let's start with the Battlefords North Stars, guys. They go 3 games in 3 nights. And I think, surprisingly, they lose all 3. Nugsy, I mean, obviously, you were at the game yesterday. Just tell us what you saw, I guess, from both perspectives, so from the Hounds and from the Stars.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the Stars' perspective, I think a team's going to go through a bump in the road at some point. I don't think Braden Klamosko and Gary Childerhose are going to panic. Really, since they got Key and Bell in early in the year, fellas, they really had just been a juggernaut. Yeah, a few losses here and there, but no real streaks. So, you know, I think that's going to happen. Some injuries have hit them as well. You think about Braden Sinclair, you think about Hunter Bergerson, you think about Rylan Williams, you think about Easton Rask. Especially those 3 forwards are big losses for them, and still trying to figure out their goaltending situation. You know, on the Notre Dame side, you know, I think I'm really impressed with the guys in terms of the fact that they are eliminated from the postseason, have been all but eliminated for a while now, yet they still continue to play for each other. I was speaking to Johan Tremblay-Cow after the game yesterday, the goaltender there, and he said that, you know, they had a bit of a meeting, a team meeting once, you know, it seemed like the playoffs were out of position, and they were going to talk about, you know, how they were going to represent each other and themselves and the Notre Dame crest the rest of the year. And They decided that they would buy in and work hard and still continue to compete, and certainly been upsetting the apple cart in all sorts of ways.
Yeah,
almost a
no
perfect
kidding.
week. Obviously, they got hammered in Estevan, but other than that, really good performances. Yorkton, Nipawin, and this one against Battlefords. And they got timely goal scoring. They took advantage of the power play. They were 2 for 4 on the power play, and killed enough penalties. The only power play goal they gave up against Battlefords was kind of a nothing goal at the end of the game. That didn't matter once it was 5-1 as you see Ripley Garden dump it down the ice. So, yeah, really impressed. The Hounds are getting great goaltending from both Johan Droblik-Howe and Spencer Borsos, and 6-game point streak for Cole Warren. Carson Bayless had 5 goals in 5 games in a row. Paul Bloomer has shown up offensively. They're getting contributions from everywhere now that it doesn't really matter much, but still very impressive, especially as Rory, you were saying kind of before the show, we were talking, you said that it's extra impressive given that they're facing teams that have a lot to play for.
Yeah, 100%. On the Notre Dame side, I love that the fact they're out of the playoffs. They're still fighting for one another. They're still playing the spoiler, right? Yeah, you beat Larange, you beat Yorkton, you beat Nipawin. These are teams that are trying to get into the playoffs, and you're denying them 2 points and trying to get closer to that line. And then beating the Battlefords is just helping the race for second place be that much more exciting down the stretch. So kudos to the Notre Dame Hounds for playing some of their best hockey of the year when, it could be tough for a lot of the players. So I'm really impressed with that.
Yeah.
On the Battlefords North Stars side, you said, it was not a great week for them, not a great road trip for them. Going through a little bit of adversity. Is that necessarily a bad thing for a team that's 33-13, 70 points on the year, a plus 63 goal differential, most goals in the league? Maybe not, right? Maybe not. You can fight through this, galvanize as a group a little more. But you got to kind of be aware of these defensive warning bells that are going off and that have been going off for a good chunk of time now. Going back to January 23rd, this is now a 12-game stretch, 6 at home and 6 on the road, so perfectly split between buildings. They've only allowed less than 4 goals against one time in their last 12 games. It's been 4 or more the other 11, an average of 4.58 goals against per game over the last 12. So I think there's a little bit of a warning bell going on defensively. Good thing they can score a lot of goals, but what it's done, again, it's made the race for second place a lot of fun down the stretch. Yeah. I do think they're looking defensively and saying we got to shore a couple things up because it's not just this week. It's been going back for now over a month. January 23rd, 12 games, and their average is comparable to what the 12th place team average is in goals against per game. Notre Dame 4.56 over the last 12 games. Battlefords 4.58. They gotta find a way to keep that puck out of the net because 12 games is a big enough sample size where you can see a little bit of alarms going off.
Yeah, well, just to continue your point, Rory, they were outscored 17-6 over this weekend as well. The power play, something that had been a money maker for the Battlefords North Stars, only 18% as well on the road trip. So, the things that we expect to see from the Battlefords North Stars, we're not seeing it as much. Last thing I'll say about Battlefords, I think at this time of year, teams are getting tighter. Everybody's getting their systems down, getting ready for the playoffs. I'm not going to sit here and tell coaches what to do, but I think you have a line like Kean Bell and Ben Portner and Brad Blake that's been so good together all year. I know you're trying to mix things up, get things going, but I often find you go back to those units that you really trust. And I wouldn't be surprised if next time out Battlefords goes back to that.
Sure.
We saw the Maharaj unit for Weyburn come back together. We saw the Bell and Bryson line for Humboldt has been magnificent the last little while. I don't think Scott Barney's going to tinker with that too much. It seems like it's been the year of big lines, and teams seem to be better when they keep those big lines together. So be interesting to see what Battlefords does moving forward.
Well, you touched on Nugsy, obviously, and Rory, that this has been a tough weekend for the Battlefords North Stars, but I guess off the ice, there was a little bit of positives that on the Coals for Kids campaign for Sask Energy. The Battlefords North Stars get the Kids Sport Cup again, and the Battlefords North Stars is where we're going to go for the Tourism Saskatchewan highlight of the week. Have a look.
One, now it's going to be picked up here by the Battlefords North Stars. Todre and chance, and they score. Nice goal there by Waldy. He's Nice individual effort there by the Ford.
And we'll see if the Battleford's North Stars can bounce back this coming weekend. Big 2 games against the Melford Mustangs coming up. But let's move on, guys, to the Melville Millionaires, a team that beat the Battleford's North Stars on Saturday. And really a tale of 2 weekends for the Melville Millionaires. Really tough loss on Friday in Melford, and then they bounced back in a big way. Rory, what did you think of Melville's weekend?
Yeah, I love that you said bounce back, because that's the response that you want to see from a team who's trying to go worst to first right now in their division. Get hammered by Melford 7-0 and then come back and, hey, you're going up against the Battleford's North Stars, who lost their previous game, another tough opponent, and you lock it down, right? Really good 5-on-5 structured play. All 4 of their goals came 5-on-5. One was an empty net goal. William Dyke stopped 29 of 30 in that rebound victory. That's where he has to be at. Jaden Eogan, guys, with a hat trick, has 13 goals in his last 16 games. So he's been one of the best rookies, not only best rookie, he's been one of the best players in terms of goal scoring since the holiday break. I think this team controls their destiny with the games remaining. 1 against Notre Dame, 2 against Weyburn, 2 against Yorkton, 1 against Nipawin. Strong finish, and they're going worst to first in that Viterra division. If I'm playing devil's advocate, the one thing I'd like to see a little bit more is just offense chipping in from different spots. They got 14 players who have 0 points in their last 3 or more games, just meaning they're relying a little bit too much on a certain small group of guys to pick up these wins. If they get a little bit more contribution from some other players, worst to first is for the Melville Millionaires, in my opinion, right now. And I just love their adversity. I love their bounce back nature and that 4-1 win over Battlefords.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Melville too, like their previous game to that getting shellacked in Melford was getting shellacked in Weyburn. Obviously, we talked about you know, how busy their week was. But Doug Johnson, you know, he'll be drilling his guys, pushing his guys hard to bounce back. Definitely impressed with that ability to show their character, as they usually seem to, the Melville Millionaires, when you know things are tough and we're not sure what direction they're going. The leadership group there, you know, Peyton Kostishin and Caden Drury and that group, they seem to find a way, you know, just to kind of tie a bow on the Mills too. They're so clinical when they get opportunities, though. They don't score a ton. They hang around, as Rory's talked about a lot. But just, you know, for example, that goal, that beautiful second goal, I think that Eogan scored. Elijah Anderson had a glorious chance for Battlefords right before, kind of had an open net. I'm not sure if Dyke made a great save or hit the post or missed the net or what, but then back the other way, Melville scores, and they don't need, you know, 40 shots, 50 shots, and tons of good scoring chances to finish. The guys that they have been really clinical all year. But it's a great point by Rory. You gotta find some depth from your team. Here we go. I get the great job in the back there to find the goal right away here, as Eogan will head up ice and show his quality. What a player he's been. Just skates around guys. He can fly and so clinical. So. Yeah, Doug Johnson, I talked to him or texted with him a little bit, you know, after the game there between the Stars and the Mills, and he said he was really happy with his guys' bounce back, and as effusive as Doug Johnson gets, I guess, to say in his praise. But yeah, he was proud, especially given, as I said, they had been beaten badly 2 times before in a row. So good job by the Mills, and that's what they've been doing all year, right, guys? We think, hey, the Mills, or maybe they're in trouble now. No, they're not.
And they continue to lead the Viterra division going into this new week. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Viterra division now as we continue on with, let's talk about the Weyburn Red Wings. They just had the one game after that game you talked about, the Melville game, way back a week ago on Family Day. But one game this weekend, and it was a 4-2 win over the Nipawin Hawks. Of course, Nipawin trying to chase down the Weyburn Red Wings, but to come back also from a 2-0 deficit. You know, good fight in the Weyburn Red Wings. And quietly, Weyburn, 9 out of a possible 10 points in the last 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing about that Nipawin win over Weyburn was Dazza Mitchell. I think the Nipawin Hawks actually outchanced them by a significant amount. Actually, Nipawin didn't play bad in Notre Dame either. Obviously, they beat Estevan. So it wasn't a bad performance road trip for Nipawin. They just only won one of the 3. And that's kind of been a problem for Nipawin, especially in the second half, is being on the wrong end of games, even if they deserve maybe a little bit better. They had a 2-0 lead. They blew it. You know, Weyburn's never out of a game at the Crescent Point place. And, you know, again, big time kudos. I'm so excited to talk to Dazza because he's such a wonderful young man, and he's been red hot lately. The power play for Nipawin has been starting to cook as well. McGuire-Ratzlaff is coming in, but again, if the other team's goalie plays better than your goalie, I'm not trying to throw too much shade at Damon Cunningham because he's having a wonderful season. But Dazza Mitchell was terrific, and he's been terrific lately. A whole bunch of 930 plus save percentage performances in a row for Dazza, and so I'm such a big fan. We've talked about it a bunch of times. I think Dazza should have been at the SJMJ showcase. Who you leave out, I don't know. That's not the point right now. The point is that Dazza's been terrific, and he's so key to what Weyburn does. And I think again, big win against Melville, big win here against Nipawin. We talk about winning games. You also talk about winning against the right teams. Weyburn's trying to hold on to that 8th spot. They seem like they're in a good spot to do it, and that was obviously a massive, massive game for both teams, and Weyburn found a way.
Rory?
Yeah, does any team, because you hate to see one limp into the playoffs, right?
Absolutely.
Does any team know how to not do that better than the Weyburn Red Wings over the last 2 years? I know they finished 8th last year, but they were the best team pushing in. And what are 2 things that you need to work during the playoffs? Goaltending, and you might not get as many power plays, but your power play better be going.
Yeah.
Their goaltending with Mitchell, he hasn't had a save percentage below 900 in any game since January 9th. That is a long stretch to stay above 900. And their power play over the last 3 games is 50%. Over the last 10 games, it's like 35%. A power play goal in 9 straight games. Weyburn now isn't trying to hold off the Nipawin Hawks. Again, we talked about this last week. You can get out of the matchup from the Flin Flon Bombers because of how you've been playing, how many games you have remaining. You're only 4 points back at Kindersley and Estevan, and you got 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
So Weyburn is playing the type of hockey you want to see a team play as you push towards the playoffs. They are not limping in, points in their last 5 games. And I kind of did a little bit of math here. Because of how well they've played and how many games they have remaining, basically 9 points is what they're looking at, which will force Nipawin to win all 7 of their remaining games. 9 points is what Weyburn needs. It's basically 500 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I know they don't want to play 500, but that's the position they're now in. And heck, man, if this team can get out of 8th and now go up into 6th with more of this play and maybe play Humboldt or Melfort instead of Flin Flon or Battlefords, with hot goaltending and power play, they could be one of these teams that maybe pulls off an upset.
Well, one thing I want to add with that is you touched on, obviously, you want to go into the playoffs on playing the right type of hockey, winning some games and not limping in. But, the interesting thing is when you look at those teams currently in 5 through 8, and right now, most of them are playing some very good hockey. And we're going to talk about some of the other teams, but obviously, like you mentioned, Weyburn. And I don't think there's going to be an easy first-round series this year in the SJHL because of those and that battle between 5 and 8. Because, again, like you mentioned, there's going to be just great battles really all the way up until the last weekend of the season for positioning. Let's talk about another team that's in that mix from 5 through 8. And I mean, they knocked off the Humboldt Broncos twice at the EPA, and then they knocked off the Flin Flon Bombers at home. The Kindersley Clippers splitting their games with the Bombers this weekend. And Kindersley's playing some really good hockey now too, Newsy.
Well, is there a hotter goalie in the SJHL lately than Cody Jamin? I don't think there is. Like,
not a busier
awesome.
one. Easier.
I mean, he's busy, but he doesn't care. Like, this kid
goalies love that.
Plays back-to-backs, and he's in there. And I think it's a good situation for Kindersley right now for Clayton Jardine to know which goaltender he's going to go to in a big night. I know they were bouncing around John McPherson, they were bouncing around Logan Falk, and both of those guys can put in a performance for Kindersley, but I think it's Cody Jamin's net right now, and obviously they proved something to the world beating Humboldt twice in Humboldt, and then the mighty Flin Flon Bombers come into town, and then that game that they lost in Kindersley, the second half of that 2-game set, could have gone either way as well. The Flin Flon Bombers, again, I've talked about it a couple times. Clayton Jardine made some incredible moves at the trade deadline. We've talked about Simon Diaz being a 27-minute-a-night defenseman. Plus, he's been awesome. And also, really underrated Brock Mueller against his old folks there, scoring a goal. And there you go, the magic of television. I think to some degree, I'm sure Mike Reagan's wondering, maybe I shouldn't have, given up on Brock Mueller because he's been phenomenal for Kindersley. We talk about, teams not trying to be one-line teams. Whatever the Linklater Hillbig combination is, everybody's going to circle them and circle them and circle them. Well, you get a little bit more depth. Alex Mack has stepped up too for Kindersley. Again, the game could have gone either way here. You obviously it's 3-2 game in the third period. Really tight game. And again, West Central Event Center's not been an easy place for anybody the last number of years. Big time kudos to Cody Jamin. Big time kudos to the Kindersley Clippers and Clayton Jardine doing a wonderful job. Nobody's going to want to, it's not going to be an enjoyable series when you take on the Kindersley Clippers in the playoffs.
And you know what? I think it was 2 weeks ago, Rory had brought up that 5-game stretch for the Kindersley Clippers that was going to be crucial. They were in Nipawin, in Humboldt for 2 games, then home to Flin Flon, and they come out of that 5-game stretch 3-2. They have to be pretty happy about that. And now we'll get onto it later on in the show, but a massive road trip looming for the Kindersley Clippers, 4 games in 5 nights. Do you guys have anything else you want to add regarding the Flin Flon Bombers? Obviously, they had a 3-game losing streak going into Saturday. Yeah. They were able to snap it. Rory?
For the Flin Flon Bombers, this is a team that's maybe welcoming a little bit of adversity. No one likes to lose. We talked about it with the North Stars. But at the end of the day, they lost 3 games in a row. This was the first time in the whole year they lost 2 games in a row, let alone 3. Right. So they find out to win, close out the weekend and pick up a win, snap that against the Kindersley Clippers. But if handled the right way, which I know Mike Reagan, I know the Flin Flon Bomber group, their leadership group who have been to the finals, the last couple of years, they're going to handle it the right way. And with a team that has all these new players on January 10th, come together, put egos aside, build off these losses, and go towards what your end goal is at the end of the day, which is a championship. Yep. So let the adversity help you. It's not a big deal, and we'll see how they respond from it as they move on. The first 2-game losing streak of the season in February, it's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. And just basically echoing what you're saying, Rory, I spoke to Mike Reagan a little bit about this, and he said he was preaching to his guys, we got to play the right way. We got to start playing playoff hockey. We don't want that adversity to strike us for the first time when you're in the first or second round, and all of a sudden you're down a couple games. That's not the time you want to be learning the first time how to deal with adversity as a group, because these are a bunch of human beings that are put together trying to work things out together. And so he was saying, hopefully he's okay with me saying this, but he was saying he was talking to his guys, and he felt like they were looking at him like he was speaking Chinese with, just in terms of the fact that they weren't really listening to what he was saying about the fact that, there will be a tough time at this point, at some point in the year, if we don't figure out how to play playoff-style hockey now with all the skill that they have. Obviously, that's not going to be enough at some point in the playoffs and moving forward. Obviously, they clinched first overall, but Mike Reagan knows what to say. He's got a good leadership group. I'm sure the Bombers will be fine.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yep.
Sorry, I just didn't want to cut you off because I had to give a shout-out, too, in this series to the Perlinger twins, the youngest players in the SJHL. When you watch in the final minute trying to shut down Flin Flon, both Cam and Kobe were on the ice for a shift during that final minute, and Cam Perlinger blocked 2 huge shots on Justin Lees, which got the puck out of the zone. So the faith in the 2 youngest players to be out against the best team in the final minute when you're leading by a goal, that was just fun to watch, and I had to shout out the Perlingers one last time for Kindersley.
And we talked about Justin Lees having one of the heavier shots in the league too, so that probably didn't tickle.
And also, you mentioned the Perlingers, Sask finest this last week.
Good plug.
The Perlinger twins, really enjoyed talking to those guys. I had to be very creative on figuring out who was speaking at a given time, but they were great, great to interview. Clayton always gives incredible quotes too. So Sask Finest, check it out, sjhl.ca.
All right, quickly let's move on. The Humboldt Broncos had a good week as well. Obviously, they knocked off the Flin Flon Bombers Thursday, doubling up the L'Orange Ice Wolves on Saturday. Rory, what did you see from the Broncos this week?
So we talked about a galvanizing win, right? What it could do for a group. I believe Thursday was that win for the Humboldt Broncos, defeating the Flin Flon Bombers 3-1. It was the blueprinted standard of what they're going to want to look like in the final stretch and into the playoffs. Nugsy, I know, and Jeremy as well, you guys called the game in Melfort for the game of the month early February. Similar to that, right? Just really structured, calm, no soft plays. Everything was really kept to the outside. Right. Found offense on their opportunities. That was again what looked like on Thursday against Flin Flon. On Saturday against Larange, the top line took over. They've been on absolute fire. Travis Bryson, Spencer Bell, and Cage Newens have 38 combined points in their last 7 games, with Bell leading the way with 15 points in those last 7. And another point, huge thing, I know small sample size. I know it's only 2 games. It could completely turn on its head in the next 2 games, but they were disciplined. And the Broncos had their stretch where they were just taking too many penalties. They were 3 times shorthanded against Flin Flon, 2 times shorthanded against Larange. That's where they need to be. And 5-on-5 is when they shine. If they could stay 5-on-5, you see that blueprint of how they want to play, and the team that can beat Flin Flon in a series, can beat Battlefords, and can beat Melfort, whoever they come up against, if they make it through the first round, right? It was just a great weekend overall for the Broncos. And then you got to feel really good for Ty Matonovich picking up his first career Junior A victory, a goaltender that hasn't played a game in like 300 days, went to the BCHL, never got a chance to play, really only like emergency backup once, never saw the ice, wanted to play against Notre Dame. That got taken away from him, finally gets his opportunity, lets in the first shot of the game. I can't imagine what was going through his mind. So really proud for Ty to pick up his first win, 6-3 against Larange.
Yeah, and I also got to mention, and I'll talk about it a bit more in Nugs and Notes here coming up, but Spencer Bell, my understanding, scored the 1,000th goal there for Kids Sport as well, to kind of finish the Kids Sport Cup. So I'll explain that in a minute here, but there you go, Spencer Bell. What a wonderful year in the SJHL if your last name is Bell.
I mean, Kean Bell and Spencer Bell, 1-2 in SJHL scoring right now. All right, guys, quickly, just thoughts on Estevan and Yorkton, their weekends. Estevan earning a split, Yorkton a split, but they lost that game earlier in the week to Notre Dame. Nugsy, quickly, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Estevan, as I've said before, played great against Notre Dame at the Family Day game there on Monday. Found a way to win against Nippo, or found a way to lose a game against Nippo, and found a way to win a game in Yorkton. I don't know. Anybody can figure out which Estevan Bruins team will show up on a nightly basis. I'm sure Jason Tatarnik would love to hear from you as well, because I'm sure he's trying to figure that out. But the talent on this roster, so good. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of good players on this Estevan team. Still hoping and waiting and seeing if Cam Hurdlick can come back and play in net, because I think the depth of their playoff run, with all due respect to Jackson Miller, will depend a lot on Cam Hurdlick and what he looks like and whether he can even play due to his health. But yeah, I mean, the Estevan Bruins, again, which game did you win? You won against the Yorkton Terriers, Viterra division rival. That's important. Obviously, losing to Nipawin wasn't ideal, given the fact that the Bruins probably should have won that game. But either way, Jason Tatarnik's still trying to build process into his team. And as you said, the power play was clicking in this game in Yorkton for Estevan. I think that's big too. So yeah, Jason Tatarnik, I'm sure, again, still trying to figure out how to get consistency out of his team, but he's seen good things.
Rory, what about you?
Yeah, just a quick point on either team. We remember Yorkton looked impressive out of the holiday break.
Yeah.
We were like a team. They could push for the playoff spot. They've had some impressive wins, and I really got to give props to them for just never backing down. But at the end of the day, they haven't won 2 games in a row since January 19th. Yeah. I think it's getting to a point where it's too little, too late. If they win all 7 games, Weyburn, again, only has to collect 4.5 points in their final 9 games, right? That's like 3 or 3.5 wins. It's going to be tough. I don't see them catching the Weyburn Red Wings based off of how they're playing, but props to Yorkton for just kind of not backing down and beating Battlefords, right? Beating Estevan a couple times. Yeah. Those are good wins to help build on a group, and especially returning players for next year. And Nugsy mentioned, I don't know when Cam Hurdlick is going to be back, but that just means you have to give props to Jackson Miller, who started every game since February 10th, and he's picked up some big wins. Mm-hmm. And I know Nugsy said, I don't know which Estevan team is going to show up each and every game. Yeah. It's kind of like where you were for Melville. You just couldn't figure them out. This is the team now for me where I just can't figure them out. However, some part of me thinks that's just maybe where Jason Tatarnik and the Bruins want you to be, where you don't know what the heck they are, and you're going to go into the playoffs against them, and they're going to sweep you, right? Like, I just don't understand it. But when their big guns are running, they're a really, really good team.
Yes, they are.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Estevan's like, yeah, you can, you can be in the gray area with us. You don't have to know what we're going to bring. And all of a sudden in the playoffs, boom, they're like one of the best teams all of a sudden. So those are my points.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. It was a crazy weekend in the SJHL, and the next couple of weeks are going to be even crazier. All right, before we go to break, quickly, we'll get to Noogs and Notes. Noogsy, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. So the sponsor for today is Sask Energy, responsible for delivering and selling natural gas to residential, commercial, and industrial customers in the province. 70,000 kilometers of distribution pipelines, 15,000 kilometers of transmission pipelines and services, over 400,000 customers. And obviously instrumental in the Kids Sport Cup, trying to make sure that young people around the province that want to play hockey, want to play sports, have the resources to do that. I think it's a terrific initiative. And obviously, as I mentioned, the Kids Sport Cup is done both in terms of the amount of goals scored. So they will donate $20,000 to the Kids Sport program in the province. And the Battleford North Stars have won in terms of the team who scored the most home goals in the Saskatchewan portion of the SJHL with 121 at this point. So congratulations to Battlefords who are still on that way. Couple more points, commitments. Carson Bayless of the Notre Dame Hounds have committed to Amherst College Division III. They play in the NESCAC, which is in New England, which is a terrific group of schools, especially for academics, basically considered the D3 Ivy League. And so Carson's a really smart kid, going to do really well there. And Tommy Chuchunkov of the Yorkton Terriers has committed to the University of Buffalo, which plays club hockey in the States. So congratulations to Carson and Tommy. And the last point is Sask Finest, is the very last Sask Finest of the year. I hope you guys all enjoyed that little series I was doing. I did 19 of them on the league website this year. The Pearlingers were awesome. And the latest Golden Sheaf as well article and interview is out on Notre Dame, or SJ social medias, pardon me, with Jackson Allen of the Battleford North Stars, who we all were very impressed with. Speaking, I said to Braden Klamosko, what an impressive, mature kid. And he said, so many people have reached out and said the same thing. So yeah, congratulations to Jackson Allen and the Pearlingers for being great interviews. And I hope you all enjoyed my writing this year.
Yeah, there you have it. Another great edition of Noogs and Notes. After the break, we are going to be joined by Weyburn Red Wings goaltender Dazza Mitchell. Get his thoughts on the season and much, much more. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
It's the 2023 model clearout at Capital GMC. Drumroll, please. 0% financing is back. For a limited time, finance rates are as low as 0% on select new 2023 GMC Sierras. CapitalGMC.ca.
Connecting with customers can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. At Direct West, we have the marketing tools and expertise to help introduce your business to the masses and help it grow. Connect with more customers. Direct West.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Today, online bullying is more common than ever, but there is help. SaskTel wants to solve this problem. It's why they created Be Kind Online. If you're a victim of online bullying or know someone who is, or even if you just want to stop it from happening to anyone, this is a place to learn what you can do. You can find lots of tools and tips to help you stand up to cyberbullying. Be Kind Online is a place to learn how to stay safe as well, to learn best practices and plans to stop cyberbullying before it even has a chance.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. We appreciate you tuning in wherever you may be tuning in. And if you're in central Saskatchewan today and you're out on the roads, please be careful after the old great Alberta Clipper. It's Jamie, Rory, and Jeremy. We appreciate having you along for the ride today. We're pleased to be joined now by Weyburn Red Wings goaltender Dazza Mitchell. Dazza, thanks so much for hopping on the show today. We really appreciate it. How's it going?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me on. Just got off the ice for practice here. Excited to talk to you guys here.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on right away, right after practice. Let's talk first and foremost. A big win for your hockey club on Saturday over the Nipawin Hawks. What'd you think of your team's play?
Yeah, honestly, we had a bit of a slow start in the first there, but we decided to stop taking some penalties and really started to get to work down low, playing 5-on-5 and back to playing our game, and at the end of the day, that proved to be enough for us to squeak it out at the end.
Yeah, awesome, Daz. I'm sure you've had this question a lot. We'll talk a lot about the Weyburn Red Wings and yourself, but I just want to ask, where did your parents get the name Dazza?
I knew you were going to ask that, actually. Did you? My dad will love that I'm telling his story. So when my dad was in his early 20s, he was a blackjack and poker dealer on cruise ships. Wow. And so he's traveled all around the world to over 60 countries. And one of his favorite places that he ever has been was Australia. And so the nickname for Darren, which is his name, down in Australia, is Dazza. Oh. So when I was born, that's how my name came to be.
I love that.
There you go.
Rory?
A couple of years later, my sister was born, and her name is Venice, after Venice, Italy.
There you go. Rory?
Yeah, Dazza, I mean, I just kind of got to talk about the run you guys have been on, right? Points in 5 straight games. It all seems to be coming together where you're one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs, but you guys did it last year as well. You guys were the hottest team going into the playoffs to secure the final spot. How do you compare the two seasons, and how similar really are they for you guys in the dressing room that you can lean on last year to play like you are this year?
Yeah, definitely some similarities. Obviously, coming out of the Christmas break last year, we were, I think, in 10th place or something like that. But there's a lot more urgency last year, seeing as we were not in a spot yet and we really needed to get there. So a lot of the guys from leadership down to the rookies knew that we needed to start winning games and put stuff together. This year, a little different just because we were already in that playoff spot and we knew where we wanted to be and how we were going to play. So a little bit different, a little bit slower coming out of the break, but this last little bit, in our last 15 games here, we started to really pick it up a bit, and it's been really helpful for us. Hopefully to make that climb into first in the Viterra and up to 5th or 6th in the league.
To build off that question, how valuable do you think that experience was from last year in the second half of the season and then into the playoffs to help you moving forward into this year and then hopefully eventually into the playoffs for yourself?
Yeah, I think that's pretty vital for our guys that are returning. There's quite a few of us, obviously as 20-year-olds and some of us as 19-year-olds now. It's very helpful so that we know that in this league, anybody can beat anybody on any night. Mm-hmm. And we know that as long as we bring our effort and worry about ourselves, that we can beat anyone whenever. So having that experience and that know that it's all there, we just need to bring it out and show it on the ice every night, I think is really, really helpful and beneficial to us.
Yeah, for sure. You know, again, I think about your group, Daz, and like last number of years, it feels like, oh, the Weyburn Red Wings are a young team. They're a young team. They're a plucky young team. They're a young team every year. Not this year. You know, this year you have like 3 20-year-old defensemen. Maybe I'm missing somebody. You have, you know, a 19-year-old in Dallin Oxelgren. You know, 4 20-year-olds. There you go. So very, very mature group in that locker room. I guess how has that changed? How has that helped you guys sort of stay on kind of an even keel instead of being so wildly up and down all year?
Yeah, definitely. We're down to, I think, 5 or 6 rookies now this year, which is way different from my previous years here, where it's been, you know, we sell away all of our 20s at the break or kind of in between building for the next years and so on. But yeah, this year with a lot more of an older group and myself being a part of that quote unquote older group, it's definitely a new experience that's, I think, pretty helpful because it gives a lot of confidence around the team, not even just to the older guys, but to the younger guys. They know that they can look to us to show by example, and they can stick around and learn from us, and we all just kind of help each other out.
Rory?
Dazzle, we all know the season, especially for a goaltender, it's a grueling one, right? It's a long season. You got to take care of your body. Just talk about your play individually, especially over the last small chunk, right? I mean, 3 unbelievable games in your last 3, but really you haven't had a save percentage below 900 since January 9th. So just what have you done throughout the year to yourself to be playing the best hockey in the hardest part of the schedule, probably?
Yeah, so we've actually talked to Scott Barney from Humboldt a lot, and back when they had Race Ramsey there, who played 40-something games that year, we really took a lot of advice from them and how Race always took care of his body and was always doing stuff to make sure that he was prepared to go. So we've kind of taken that in here and like applied it to myself. So I'm taking time every day to make sure I'm stretching, I'm ice bathing, I'm warming up, cooling down, all that stuff that, you really got to do to take care of your body. I'm making sure I'm doing everything that I possibly can to keep myself on the ice and keep helping the team win some games.
To kind of build off that, Dazza, I'd love to know, what's it been like working with Daniel Wapple as your goaltending coach? I've seen all of his videos on TikTok. You've made an appearance numerous times. What's it like working with Wops, and how has he benefited your game?
Oh, Wops is great. Quick little story before we start. Some of my dad's friends, when I was probably 6 or 7, when Daniel was playing for the Regina Pats, they were actually billeting him. So when he was playing there, I actually have a signed card of him back in his old retro gear, signed by him because I met him back then. But yeah, having him around and having that different kind of experience from WHL and a little bit of European stuff that he knows what it's like to play through the grind of a season. He knows what the wear and tear is on your hips, your knees, your body, your mental, everything like that. So having his opinion on certain things where maybe you're overthinking a certain position or you're worrying about so on and so forth and whatever, he's there to really just calm you down, and he really drives home the basics. If you see any of his videos, he works a lot on skating. He works a lot on footwork. You ask Kenny Marquardt up in Flin Flon, and that's all they do all summer long is just work on footwork, work on the basics. Because without that, you can't improve your advanced skills if you don't have your basic skills down. Absolutely. So it's really, really helpful, not only for myself, but I think for all of us here. Zoli and Hicks both really, really enjoy having him here, and he's always a blast to have around when he's around.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of a blast, obviously, you and I have talked about, I think I wrote an article about Nick Nielsen and how much he does around for you guys there. And one of the things I noticed in the month of February is that I think you got an award there from the Wings for your community service there around, I guess Nick is a hard taskmaster driving you guys to do all sorts of things out there in the Weyburn community, but it doesn't seem like it takes a lot of knee ankle twisting, like arm twisting, that's the word, to get you to do anything to help people out, Daz. So where does that come from for you, that desire to try to kind of give back to the Weyburn community and to just kind of be someone that's helpful to be around?
Yeah, I read some comments on that post the other day, and there's a lot of people that, one, I know and have interacted with and all that. And then there's other people that I maybe didn't know and only see every so often. So to hear all those nice things coming from people, especially that because it's the community that drives home our season here at the end of the day. Like, if they weren't here filling the stands, or if they weren't supporting us at all, then we wouldn't be a team. We wouldn't be able to play hockey and get this opportunity. So it's always been about giving back to the people that make it possible for us to do this. And, seeing all the wonderful kids in the community that come to our game, that are always cheering our names and always want us to sign their sticks and sign their pucks and their hats and everything like that, really makes it such a special experience for us here. So it's always been easy for me to look at that and just say, thank you, and let me help you with anything that I can. Let me make your day better because you allow me to do what I love.
Rory?
Hey, Daz. Okay, so you mentioned you guys want to win the Viterra division. We've talked about how you guys have been playing some of your best hockey over the last handful of games, right? First, talk about kind of the excitement for the final push, because you guys have played the fewest amount of hockey. You're going to have the most amount of hockey remaining, which kind of means you control your destiny, right? And then if there's 2 or 3 things that you guys just want to nail down, thinking you need to do to get into the top of the Viterra division throughout the final 9 games, what are they?
Well, I think obviously we have 2 games left against Melville and 2 games left against Estevan. 1 here, 1 there for both. Those are obviously vital games, with both of them being a couple points ahead of us. But specifically, I think this next week is super, super important for us, just to build confidence going into those last 2 weeks and that last final push there. If we head up north here, where apparently it's snowing a lot out here and you're stuck at home, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If we can go up there and build some confidence for ourselves and really beat away at that point deficit that's looking ahead of us right now, then we go into those games with a much closer gap, and we know that we can beat anybody. We've beat Melville before. I think we're 4-0 against Estevan already this year. So we know that we can win. It's just a matter of getting to that point where we believe that we can win this division, and we know we can, and that's been the goal since the start of the year.
For sure. Just the last one for me then, Daz. Rory and I and Jeromy were there at the game in Weyburn, at the game of the month. It was a classic Weyburn-Estevan game, very unfriendly. I like to talk on that broadcast about how much you guys as an organization just don't seem to like each other, and it's genuine. Just talk about what it's like to play in those games, either at Affinity Place or at Crescent Point Place, and whether that's just invented by us and trying to make a story happen, or how much you guys really kind of dislike those boys in black and gold.
No, you're definitely not making it up. That's something that we all experience here. You ask any of the local fans, any of the kids that were in high school playing high school sports, you look at the McLeod series between Weyburn and Estevan. Mm-hmm. These 2 towns do not like each other. Yeah. It's these games, this Highway 39 rivalry, it's been a little lopsided in the past, with Estevan beating us 9-1 in my first year, but it's really nice, and it's been a pleasure to be able to return the favor a little bit to them. And it's one of the best experiences ever. They come here and we absolutely fill the stands. Those games are always the loudest and the most energetic in the building. You go there where they have such a nice barn that can fit so many more people, and it's always bumping there. We always get our little traveling pack of Weyburn fans that sit right behind our bench, and it's just a really, really cool experience that you can't really compare to anything else.
All right, Dazza, it's time for rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to start off with I wasn't even on my list before, but because you told the story of your dad being a former poker and blackjack dealer, how's your Texas Hold'em game, and are you the best on the Red Wings?
I would like to say that I am strategically, but I always tend to not get the luck of the cards that night whenever we play.
That's fair. Who's your favorite player to shut down in practice? A guy that kind of gets a little irritated that he just can't beat you.
Okay, I got 2. One is Carter Briltz, because we go back a long time playing with and against each other. Back in Bantam, me and Cody and a few other guys beat him in the South Final, which was really nice. And it's always fun to rob him because he always has a great reaction. And the other one is Max Manette, because he's got such a great shot and he always expects himself to score. But when you get that blocker up or that glove up and make that big save, and he always shakes his hands and throws his head in the air, it's pretty fun.
If you guys make the playoffs, just based off where you are and where the top four are, you're going to need to start off on the road for the first 2 games. What is the go-to road celebration victory song that you're pumping in visiting dressing rooms after picking up road wins?
Oh boy, that's a good one. I've always been a personal fan of the girl jams, so anything Katy Perry, Rihanna, anything like that. That's
Nice.
my personal go-to, but there's so many options that you could pick from.
All right, I got 2 text-in questions. They're both food-related, actually. One from Jeromy, one from Nugsy. One's the all-you-can-eat buffet all-you-can-eat KFC buffet. It's one of the last remaining ones, and it's in Weyburn. Over your 3 years there, how many visits to the KFC buffet?
Oh,
Wow.
0.
I have never set foot in that building since my time here.
Oh.
Well, you got to keep the body right. That's why you're playing so well 50 games into the
Body's
year.
a temple.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta keep it clean.
And Nugsy send in question. Sorry, here he just sent it to me. Campfire Grill Pizza. I know that's part of that's your family's kind of company. What's the best flavor?
Ooh. Okay. I have 2 favorites. One is pepperoni because it's simple. You can always have it whenever. Second favorite, dill pickle and bacon. You might not expect pickle to be good on a pizza, but it is really, really, really good. Primalpie.ca and campfiregrill.ca if anyone's interested. Personally out in Weyburn here, it's in Mowers Meats, and I know we're in most communities around Saskatchewan right now. So yeah, my parents are actually down south right now working on building the business in the States, and we'll be gearing up here for festival season come June and July.
Wow.
Yeah, so there you go. And I've had Campfire Pizza. It is fantastic. Great. So definitely a solid plug. Go visit them out. But I got one more question for you. Me and Nugsy has asked about nicknames in the past, if players like them. There's been the great one. There's been the next one.
Right.
A yes or no for the dazzling one.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard that one. One of my old coaches, former SJHL player Bruce Thompson, if you know that name. He was my coach back in Novice and Adam, and he always called me Dazza. That was his favorite nickname for me.
Okay. Are we for the dazzling one? If you picture shutout, and we can be like, well, the dazzling one was up to it again.
I would not be against it.
Okay.
Diplomacy.
Rory, I would take that as a win. Dazza, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. And best of luck the rest of the way in the regular season and for you guys into the postseason, hopefully.
Hey, thank you guys very much for having me. And Jeromy, I know it's your last broadcast here, but thank you for all you did for all the players, all the staff this year. I know we all really appreciate what you guys do for us and spreading our talent across social media and all that stuff for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dazza. I appreciate it. That's Dazza Mitchell, goaltender, Weyburn Red Wings. He's got a new nickname now, and it makes sense, guys. I'm just going to say this now. It makes sense that he hasn't been to the KFC buffet in Weyburn because he's used to pitching shutouts. So it makes sense that he hasn't been there once.
There you go.
So there you go. Dazza Mitchell, Weyburn Red Wings, had a great last couple of weeks for the Weyburn Red Wings and hopefully a great rest of the season for them moving forward. We're going to take a pause, then we're going to announce some players of the week, and we got another quiz on tap. Stay tuned for that. Coming up right after the break, this is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
thanks for helping me out and trying to protect me today. It's the kind of thing that, somebody comes out who's not ready, not prepared, and put into an awkward situation without somebody taking leadership and saying, hey, I'm going to protect you. It's going to shorten people's careers, and that's a big reason why we exist, and what drives us to do what we do.
They know how important their role is in the community, being a good leader, showing kids that there is a right and a wrong way to do things, and leading the right way, being a positive role model to not just kids in the community, but anybody in the community.
Coach said a lot of great things that are really consistent with the values that we have at the SCSA, and respect for those around us, respect for those that we work side by side with, leadership, and part of that is being innovative and collaborative and solving problems together. Really, the last one that you touched on was integrity, doing what's right and doing it the right way. And those things just yield incredible results, not just in terms of making things safe, but really being productive and striving, whether it be in a game or in your life or in your business.
I think absolutely we try and fill the roles of all those values and just try to be the best people we can, really, not only for ourselves, but for our teammates and for the community around us.
Have a lot of fun today. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Saskatchewan's far north is where the land itself inspires. It's the beauty and power of wilderness, the solitude of a place far removed from what you might know. When this landscape surrounds you, it's like nothing else. Come and let it awaken you, energize you. Come and create your story in our Northern Lights and Waterways. Saskatchewan.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms, wherever you may be tuning in today. We appreciate you. It's Jamie, Rory, and Jeromy. Rory via video chat, thanks to the Alberta Clipper. He is surviving, though, avoiding the snow drifts. And it's time to announce some players of the week for this past week in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. So let's start with SGEU MVP of the week, Rory. And we start with a player from the Humboldt Broncos, Spencer Bell. He continues his tear. And this week, rather than putting the puck in the back of the net, he set up a bunch of goals.
Yeah, he's just been fantastic in all areas of the game, and another MVP of the week, but he's really pushing to maybe get more than just consideration for MVP of the year. He's first in the league in goals and second in the league in points, so you can't argue it. And another fantastic week for Spencer.
Yeah, great week for Spencer for sure, and now he's second in points in the entire Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, so congratulations to Spencer Bell, SGU MVP of the week. Moving on, Borgo forward of the week, Nugsy. Cole Weyburn of the Notre Dame Hounds. He had a great week for the Hounds, as the Hounds, since that loss to the Bruins last Monday, went 3-0.
Yeah, Cole, 6-point game point streak for him. 3 goals, 4 assists. 2 of those goals came in 32 seconds in the first period against Battlefords yesterday. Going to the hard areas, I think he's recovered from a bit of an injury that he got late in 2023. So that's also big for him. So hard on the puck. Such great offensive instincts. It's been a treat to watch him play all year. And yeah, great for him lately. And that whole Hounds team playing very well lately too.
For sure. Congratulations, Cole Borgo, forward of the week. We're going to move on to Direct West Rookie of the Week, Rory, and this guy has just flown up the rookie scoring charts as of late. Travis Bryson of the Humboldt Broncos. He actually had the most points this past week in the SJHL. Just superb.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the size that he brings, right? The 6'3", 208 pounds. He's one of the best players in the league at protecting the puck. So hard to take it off him, especially outside along the walls. But the shot, he's set up, Newens and Bell for a few goals. He's now first in the league in rookie goals, first in the league in rookie points, first in the league in rookie power play points, or power play goals, pardon me. So, yeah, he's making a case for Rookie of the Year also, having a great year.
Yeah, for sure. Congratulations to Travis for Direct West Rookie of the Week. Moving on, Super U Defenseman of the Week, Nugsy. Felix Allard of the Estevan Bruins. He might be tied for goals amongst defensemen in the SJHL, but getting 4 helpers this past week.
Yeah, he and Alex Isaac in Battleford's, they're tied on 17 goals. But yeah, look, offensively, from the back end especially, he's by far the most dangerous Estevan Bruin this year. Jason Tarnick gives him a lot of minutes as a result. He deserves it. He's been really good in his own end too. Can't say more about Felix, and he deserves the award this week for sure.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Felix. Another Super U Defenseman of the Week honors. Moving on to SaskTel Goalie of the Week, Rory. You saw him right at the beginning of the week. You saw him for 2 games in a row. Cody Jamin of the Kindersley Clippers. He has been on fire as of late.
Oh, God, yeah. And I mean, we talked about how Kindersley did very well in their 6-game home stretch, but look at the daunting road thing they got to take care of. Go into Humboldt for 2 games, back at home to 2 against Flin Flon. And they go out and they win 3 of the 4 games, and I think largely in part to that man right there, .937 save percentage. He's been spectacular.
So congratulations to Cody Jamin for SaskTel Goalie of the Week honors. And finally, Cantera Seed Saskatchewan Player of the Week goes to Nugsy, the player we just talked to via video chat, Dazza Mitchell. Great 2 games for Dazza. Great interview. Just an outstanding person, outstanding interview, and he had an outstanding week.
Yeah, shut out the Melville Millionaires at home there. It was a big piece in keeping Weyburn in it against Nipawin. He talked about his slow start, team taking penalties against a very good Nipawin power play. He was a big reason. What a character young man, terrific. Been with and familiar with Cody Mapes there in Weyburn for a very long time. And talk about an incredible ambassador for our league. Such an honor and treat to watch Dazza in our league week in, week out.
Absolutely. So congratulations to Dazza Mitchell, Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week. And you can read up about all the SJHL Players of the Week for this past week in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League by going to sjhl.ca. The article is live now. Before we wrap things up for the show, we're going to have some fun. We're going to do a little quiz. It's not risky quizness with Nugsy because I got to be honest, last time we did risky quizness with Nugsy, you threw us off. You threw us some history questions in there. Wasn't prepared for it. So this quiz is a little different. It's going to ask some questions. We're going to give some answers. There's no wrong answers, so everybody wins. Okay?
Sounds good.
So let's start. And Rory, I'll start this one with you. Who wins the Viterra division? The Melville Millionaires, the Estevan Bruins, or the Weyburn Red Wings, or of course the Yorkton Terriers?
Yeah, so it's a tough one. I'm going to lean towards the Melville Millionaires will be my pick. Estevan, if you look at their next 4 games, are really hard. They're all on the road. They play Melfort once, Flin Flon twice, and wrap it up with Humboldt. So that's a tough stretch for Estevan, all on the road. Melville has a little bit of a lighter schedule down the stretch. A couple against Yorkton. I know a couple against Weyburn. Those will be big. A game against Notre Dame. So I'm going to say the Melville Millionaires, but by a nose, because I know Weyburn's going to make it a lot closer than the 4 or 5 points they're down right now by the end. But a 1-point Viterra victory for Melville will be my pick.
Nugsy?
Melville. Same reasons Rory just said.
Oh, okay. I'll say Weyburn, just to throw a different mix in because I like the fact that they have the 2 games against Melville left in the season series. They have the 2 games against Estevan. They're undefeated against the Estevan Bruins. And they have 2 games this weekend against the Laurent Ice Wolves, who, of course, have been struggling as of late. So I'll go with Weyburn. All right, Nugsy, I'll start with you on this one. How many defensemen finish above a point per game once the regular season comes to an end? We're already at 1, so the options are 2, 3, 4, or more.
Yeah, well, there's 3 guys who are over a point per game at the moment: Donovan Houle, Alex Isaac, and Chase Freetmore. So Parker Layton and Felix Allard are just hanging around there. So I'm going to say 4. One of those 2 guys gets in, one of those 2 guys don't. Whether it's Layton or Allard, I don't know, because both have been awesome. But I'm going to go with 4.
Rory?
Yeah, I'll say 3. I think 3 is just a more safer bet right now with having 3 that are in and 2 that are chasing. Either way, it's been a remarkable year for defensemen and their offensive contributions. But I'll say 3.
Give me more. I want to see all the defensemen scoring for the last 3 weeks of the season. Everybody score goals. Everyone get assists. Everybody above a point per game. Give me more. Let's go on to Rookie of the Year. Rory, our options are Travis Bryson, of course, Luke Beadle of the Melville Millionaires, and Carson Olsen of the Battleford's North Stars, or other.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the 19 years of age is going to be the only thing that kind of goes against Travis Bryson, but there's nothing in the criteria of the SJHL that says you can't be a 19-year-old rookie as long as you meet the amount of games played in any junior A hockey league, and Bryson hasn't met that amount. So he leads all rookies in basically every important category, and I got to go with Travis Bryson. He's a little bit older than Luke Beadle, than Carson Olsen, Ben Costantino, a bunch of other ones. Yeah. But what he's doing, I think you can't overlook regardless of his age. So I'm going to take Travis Bryson.
Nugsy?
Yeah, I can't go wrong with any of those guys, obviously. But I'm going to go with Carson Olsen of the Battleford's North Stars. He was better in the first half of the year than the second half. Could argue he was better before he got his commitment to the UMass Lowell D1. But that being said, he's having a wonderful year, especially for an 06 birth year. Plays big minutes for Battleford's a very, very good team. Obviously, I think the number 6 team in Canada in the CJHL rankings. He's plus 23 on the year as an 06 as well. Obviously, he's got a great partner in Tanner Gold. So it's a nice little safety blanket. But that being said, Carson's been great. He's a D1 commit. He's an 06. I think the optics for the league point to Carson Olsen.
You know what? I'll just make it all 3 of us going with different options. I'll say Luke Beadle because I think he's been excellent for Melville this year. And I mean, there's been no bigger surprise than the Melville Millionaires for me this season when it comes to any team in the SJHL. And Luke Beadle's been outstanding for them this year. All right, Noobsy, we'll move on to this one. You came up with this question. I love it. You get to pick. We're not going to have any options for it. You just get to pick one. Any goalie in the SJHL. Game 7. Series on the line. Who are you taking?
I am going to go with Harmon Laser-Hume because A, he plays behind the Flin Flon Bombers, and that game will be at the Whitney Forum. And B, he's been in many big games before already, obviously, in the run last year.
Okay.
So he's got that experience to him. And obviously he's a very good goalie. So those are my 3 reasons for picking Harmon Laser-Hume.
Okay. Rory?
I also have Harmon Laser-Hume. By my recollection, he's the only goaltender that's played in a Game 7 before and won it. That's still in the league this year. So I like experience. Harmon's done it. He's won a Game 7 before. As Nugsy said, it'll be in Flin Flon, so I'll take Harmon.
Let's make it a clean sweep for HLM. Most likely bottom 4, final question, bottom 4 of the playoff teams, 5 through 8, to have the best chance of an upset, Rory.
I mean, for the longest time, this was the Estevan Bruins for me. I still find it hard not to pick them. I still think when they're on their game, they're a top 4 team. Kindersley has made it incredibly close with the way they've been playing. Getting the 2 guys in, and if Cody Jamin's rolling, Kindersley's close. I will still take the Estevan Bruins, though, as the most likely team to complete the upset in the first round.
Nugsy?
Yeah, I have to agree. They have 5 guys still on their team, by the way, guys, that were on that Centennial Cup team from 2021, 22. So, again, they have experience. They've got 9 guys from last year. We talked about Laser-Hume being the guy who won Game 7. Well, Cam Hrdlicka definitely didn't lose Game 7 in that same game. He was unbelievable at the Whitney Forum, and only the worst possible bounce anybody's ever seen defeated him on that one. It was the worst bounce I've ever seen to see a team eliminated from the playoffs. So, I'm going to go with Estevan, especially if Cam is healthy. It's a big if right now, but Cam Hrdlicka and Estevan Bruins.
Before I answer, I'm going to ask a hypothetical question for both of you. And I'll let Rory answer first. Would your answer change? I know, but I guess my question would be this. Does your answer potentially change based off certain matchups that could potentially happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. If you ask me this question in the 1 week window before the regular season and the playoffs, when we know who the matchups are going to be, then 100% it could change to Melville, Weyburn, Kindersley, like any of the 4 teams. I don't think anything's off the table. But I'd think regardless of matchup, which team most likely, I'd say Estevan. But if the matchup's then set and you want me to pick again, probably more likely than not that my answer does change.
For sure. Nugs, you feel the same way?
Yeah, it has to be. There are certain teams that Melville seems like they just own this year to some degree. And Kindersley the same. So, and Weyburn obviously with Dazza and whatever. I don't, like, if there's a sweep, I'll be stunned. Like, any sweep would stun me. So
I would agree with that. I would 100% agree with that this year. I would, if we don't know any of the matchups, I would also agree with you guys and say Estevan as well. That is our quiz. No wrong answer. So guess what? We're all winners. We're all winners. Great job, everybody. It is, I think we're in the third final week of the regular season right now in the SJHL. Let's take a look at the start of this week coming up. Let's start with Tuesday. 2 big games on the docket. I talked about it. Kindersley, huge week coming up. 4 games in 5 nights. 2 games against Melville, 2 games against Yorkton. It all starts in Melville. In Melville on Tuesday, 7 o'clock puck drop, and then the red-hot Notre Dame Hounds, Nuxie, playing host to the Yorkton Terriers. Of course, a big game for Yorkton if they want to try and get closer to a potential playoff spot. They're going to have to go on a bit of a run here in the last couple weeks of the season. And then on Wednesday, 3 big games. Hopefully, the Alberta Clipper doesn't affect any of these games when it comes to travel across the province. The Weyburn Red Wings and Nipawin Hawks meet once again, and you have to think a massive game for Nipawin if they want to have any hopes of getting back into the playoff race. Kindersley and Yorkton from the Westland Arena in Yorkton, and then Estevan kicking off 3 games in 4 nights against the Melfort Mustangs. As I always ask, Rory, let's start with you. When you look at this coming week, what stands out for you, and what are you keeping your eye on?
I would say any team in the Viterra division right now with the race. And I'm going to lightly add that Estevan is in Flin Flon this weekend, which is going to be an absolute barn burner. We know that those teams don't like each other based off of, the past few years. But again, it's not about what's next. Obviously, Jeromy, it's your final show. I thought maybe what Dazza said would pull at your heartstrings a bit.
Oh,
and
it
get
did.
Emotional.
It did.
That was a very nice send-off. But, you've been an amazing, not only ambassador for the league, a great friend. You're going to be missed here at the SJHL. We can't thank you enough for everything you've done. But just personally, it's been great spending the last year with you, hanging out, doing the show. And I'm going to miss you. But best of luck in BC.
Thank you, Rory. That's very sweet of you. Nugsy, what are you looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to ignore the question and same thing that Rory said. You're the best. We appreciate you. You did an incredible job, and we're going to miss you. And you're top class. And whatever you are doing out there in BC, fighting wildfires or whatever it is you're doing, we know you're going to do an incredible job. So there you go.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't prepare anything for this final episode, as you can probably tell. I don't really, when it comes to stuff like this, I don't like to prepare anything. But I'll say this. It's been a phenomenal year, over a year and a half on this job here in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. It's been great being back in the league. I've said this in a couple of interviews I've done since the news kind of came out. But what intrigued me a lot about this job was coming back to a league that did so much for me to start my career coming out of broadcasting school. And that's what meant a lot for me to come back to the SJHL this last week and a half, or the year and a half. Oh my gosh, this hasn't been a week and a half. Last year and a half. And it's meant a lot to come back and have the trust to come back and, essentially help the league when it comes to the website, social media, content, everything like that. Because, you guys know, you've been in this league for a long time. This is a really special Junior A hockey league across the province. And you know what? It deserves the very best. And I think when it comes to producing the content and doing, you know, it was working in hockey. People always say, oh, it's a dream job. You never work a day in your life. I highly disagree. When you love something and you work in something that you love, you're going to work even harder for it. And you do work. But it's been a lot of fun along the ways. Doing the shows with you guys has been outstanding. Look forward to it every Monday. It's been great. Building a show and coming together, the three of us, and producer Clark. Got to give a shout out to producer Clark. He's behind the scenes right now. Shout out to you guys for, you know, your commitment to the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, putting in the work. And, you know, we went from, you know, the start of doing this show last year to where it is today, and it's grown immensely. And all of our product across the league when it comes to our social platforms and everything has grown immensely. And it's not just me. I'm leaving, but it's not just me. It's Rory, it's Nugsy, it's Clark, it's everybody at IKS. It's all 12 teams across the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League sharing our content and wanting the best for this league. But I will say, I'm rambling already, but I'll say this. It means a lot that, you know, the last couple of weeks, you know, people reaching out, saying goodbye, being sad about it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's not goodbye. It's see you later. And now I get to be a fan. I'll be lurking in the SJHL Weekly chat. And if the guys in the back don't put my comments on the screen, I'm going to be very angry. But with that being said, you know, thank you to all of our viewers who tune in each and every week. Thanks to all the great players that we have in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League that have always been readily available for us when it comes to doing this show. The coaches, the staff, everybody has been so great to work with the last year and a half. I made the joke, I think, last year when I started this job. I felt like the father from Cheaper by the Dozen, the movie, because I love all 12 teams equally. And they were like my 12 kids, and I love them all. And it's been great to see the success of the league moving forward. And the league's going to continue to grow and grow. And you guys are going to continue on with this show. It's going to grow and grow moving forward. I helped along the way. And it's going to continue because you guys are doing great work as well. But it's been a pleasure working with you guys. Producer Clark's going to be coming in, filling the seat permanently. You guys got to be easy on him. Be easy on him, Noogsy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's right. Okay.
He's got to be easy on us, too.
He's got to be easy on you guys. But for one final time, I have to do the ramble of the sponsors. So you got to listen to me one more time. Just rip through these sponsors. Big thank you to UPL, our great presenting sponsor for all of our great shows. SJHL Weekly, SJHL Insider, you name it. UPL, big thank you. Bourgault, Cantera Seats, Capital Auto Mall, Chevrolet, Great Western Nutrient, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, UPL, Sask Energy, SGU, SGI. Thanks so much for your support. Without your support, these shows are not possible. And you would think after a year and a half, maybe I would have memorized that by now, but I sure haven't. I sure haven't. I'll tell you what I have memorized. Be sure to follow the league across all the social media platforms. Like us on Facebook, X, which is Twitter. I don't know why it's called X, but it is what it is. Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's where you're going to find all these great shows. Moving forward, subscribe to Apple Podcasts, where you can also listen to the shows. I think people forget you can also listen to the shows if you don't want to watch visually, but you can also listen as well. It's going to be a great final 3 weeks in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, and these guys are going to take you for the ride along the way. It's going to be a great final 3 weeks, and we appreciate you tuning in. For Rory McGouran, Jamie Neugebauer, my name's Jeromy Corrigan, and this has been SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.